Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this milestone event for Indiana University, the IU School of Medicine, and the Indiana University Melvin and Bren Simon Cancer Center. I'm Jay Hess, Dean of the IU School of Medicine, and we're pleased today to be joined by many distinguished guests, including Indiana University President Michael McRobbie, United States Senator Todd Young, representatives from the offices of Senator Mike Braun and Congressman Susan Brooks, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett, IU's Simon Cancer Center Director Dr. Patrick Lehr, IU Health President and CEO Dennis Murphy, and several members of the Indiana University community, including IUPUI Chancellor Nasser Paydar, IU School of Nursing Dean Robin Newhouse, and Richard M. Fairbanks School of Public Health Dean Paul Halverson. And we're especially honored to have Dr. Douglas Lowy with us today, who is the acting director of the National Cancer Institute. And of course, we're fortunate to have so many of you here today, including cancer researchers, physicians, caregivers, patients and their families, and donors who support our work. Each one of you is critically important to the success of the Cancer Center. Cancer remains a formidable adversary. In Indiana alone, more than 35,000 people will be diagnosed with cancer this year, and nearly 14,000 of them will succumb to their disease. Having watched my own mother lose her long battle with cancer at an early age, I know firsthand the toll that this disease exacts on patients and their families. However, as a physician and a cancer researcher, I also know that this is an incredibly promising time as we get closer and closer to developing cures for some of the most difficult to treat types of cancer. And that is why we're working with urgency in making extraordinary investments in our cancer research and our patient care programs. We are recruiting exceptional physicians and scientists from across the country. We are bringing the most advanced therapies to Indiana, including genomically guided therapies and immunotherapy. We're investing in cutting-edge research capabilities. We're partnering with community organizations to reduce the incidence of cancer in Indiana. And we're collaborating with industry to bring discoveries to the clinic. Of course, we're not doing this alone. We are extremely fortunate to have exceptional partners in IU Health who are committed to providing patients with the best possible care at the Simon Cancer Center, at the Riley Children's Hospital, and across the state of Indiana. And we're also grateful to our funders. Our 250 cancer researchers collectively hold over $60 million in research grants, including many from the National Cancer Institute. And we're especially thankful to have the generous support of thousands of donors who are passionate about eliminating suffering caused by cancer. I would especially like to acknowledge the late Mel Simon and his wife Bryn, after whom the Cancer Center is named. The Vera Bradley Foundation for Breast Cancer, represented today by Barbara Backert, Pat and Mike Miller, John Brooks, and Linda Hauk. The Walther Cancer Foundation, represented by Mary Eisler. The Lilly Endowment, represented by Clay Robbins. IU School of Medicine alumnus and philanthropist Don Brown, and the many, many members of our Cancer Development Board, including its chair, Pete Ward of the Indianapolis Colts, who are here with us today. Their generosity and the generosity of many others has propelled us forward and helped us to become one of the nation's elite cancer centers. And that's what brings us all here today. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Lowy, who will make an important announcement about the future of our Cancer Center. In April of this year, Dr. Lowy was named Acting Director of the National Cancer Institute. That's part of the National Institutes of Health, and it's the federal government's principal agency for funding cancer research and training. He has served as a senior leader of the NCI since 2010, including as deputy director, and has helped lead the NCI's key scientific initiatives. In addition to his leadership of the NCI, Dr. Lowy is a distinguished physician and researcher in his own right. He received his medical degree from New York University School of Medicine and trained in internal medicine at Stanford and in dermatology at Yale University. He is internationally recognized for the research that led to the development of effective vaccines for HPV, which are expected to one day eliminate cervical cancer and prevent other cancers linked to HPV in men and women. It is a privilege to invite Dr. Lowy to share some exciting news with all of you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Dean Hess, thank you so much for this lovely introduction. This is one of the fun things that I get to do as NCI director. It really is something. There are 71 NCI designated cancer centers, and they had their start with the 1971 Cancer Act. And it's one of the unique hallmarks of the NCI. The NCI cancer centers, which are distributed among 36 states, really are the major engines of discovery in cancer research, but they also are critical places for delivering high-quality cancer care. And it's really this unique combination that is what results in becoming an NCI-designated cancer center. We have been extraordinarily fortunate to have the strong support bipartisan for cancer research and biomedical research in general from the Congress. There have been increases in the appropriations to the NIH and NCI over each year over the last few years. I especially am grateful for Senator Young to be here, but also for his leadership in calling attention to one of the biggest problems, not just for cancer, but also for cardiovascular disease and pulmonary health, which has to do with tobacco consumption. And that problem has only become more complicated with the introduction of vaping and e-cigarettes, and his leadership with legislation to raise the age of consumption for all of these products, I think really is exemplary, and I would like to applaud you for it. Because as important as cancer treatment is, if we can prevent cancer, we can actually have an even bigger impact. One of the things that I like to say is that the advantage of cancer prevention is there are no grateful patients. But also, in terms of philanthropy, the disadvantage is there are no grateful patients. But what happens here is that as important as NCI support is for the research that's going on here, and you heard from Dean Hess about the extraordinary accomplishments, a lot of this is substantial increases over the last few years, that it is not enough. And so I really applaud the private philanthropy that seems to be so active and vibrant here at IU in general, and specifically at the Cancer Center, because the researchers here have great ideas, but like us, they run out of money long before they end up being able to really strongly test those ideas. And talking with the mayor, it sounds to me as though that this is a community that really is cohesive, coming together, and it's really as a result of everyone pulling together that this has happened. I did want to mention 3 extraordinary initiatives of Dr. Lehrer and his colleagues here at the Cancer Center. One is the Hoosier Cancer Research Network, which really has to do with bringing the clinical oncologists from throughout the state to Indianapolis to decide what clinical research should be done on a statewide basis. And this has been extraordinarily effective. When I was here 2 years ago and heard about it, I really was extraordinarily impressed by it. A more incipient network is the Big Ten Cancer Research Consortium, which also, once again, is bringing together, but now in a broader segment than just statewide. And then finally, the academic model providing access to health care, or AMPATH oncology, which has resulted in regional, national, and even international partnerships. And it really is seen as a model for global oncology. So what's really extraordinary about the cancer centers is cutting-edge research on the one hand, while at the same time the highest quality care for patients who develop cancer. And one is in the service of the other, because ultimately our goals are to have as few people die from cancer as possible, while also as few people getting cancer as possible. We've made a lot of progress over the last years. The last 20 years, there's been about a 25% decrease in the mortality rate from cancer, and but there still are 600,000 people dying in the United States every year from this disease, and about 1.7 million getting it. So many people are being cured, but we need to redouble our efforts and do more if we are going to really do what is required by our patients on their behalf. So it gives me extraordinary pleasure to say that peer review, which is how things are done at NIH in general and specifically at NCI, has essentially led to the strong recommendation that the IU Cancer Center be designated a comprehensive cancer center, and no center deserves it more than the IU Cancer Center. And let's just give a great round of applause. So, I see I was preaching to the converted. Before I finish, I just want to say a couple of words about what it means to be designated a comprehensive cancer center by NCI. There are just over 50 NCI, this is now the 51st NCI designated comprehensive cancer center. And what it means is that the breadth and depth of the research is extraordinary. And also, the care of patients is equally extraordinary. So this is really the end of one journey, but the beginning of the next, because our patients demand it. And when things work well, as they seem to be here in Indianapolis and at IU in general and at the Cancer Center specifically, in contrast to mathematics, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Thank you very much for the invitation. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lowy. This designation is cause for celebration, not just for all of us here at Indiana University and Indiana University Health, but more importantly for patients across Indiana. And now I'd like to introduce IU President Michael McRobbie. President McRobbie became the 18th president of Indiana University in 2007 and has overseen a period of tremendous growth, scholarly accomplishment, and global engagement. He has been a strong advocate for IU's health sciences programs and has identified health-related research and education as a priority for the university's bicentennial strategic plan. He also serves as vice chair of the board of directors of Indiana University Health. President McRobbie.
Well, thank you very much, Dean Hess. And I want to begin by thanking Dr. Lowy very much and most sincerely for joining us this morning and for the tremendous support that the National Cancer Institute has given to cancer research programs at Indiana University over many years. And I also want to congratulate Dr. Pat Lehrer, the director of the IU Melvin and Bren Simon Cancer Center, as well as all of Indiana University's outstanding cancer researchers, many of whom are with us here today, for this fabulous recognition as a comprehensive cancer center by the NCI, for which they are all collectively responsible. I also want to join Dean Hess in welcoming Senator Todd Young and Mayor Joe Hogshead and the representatives from the other congressional and state legislative offices as well for being here today and for their enormously strong support for Indiana University and its programs in the health sciences and other areas as well. We appreciate it enormously, and the success we have had today is due in part to the support that we have received from all of you and from all of our philanthropic supporters too, for whom we are immensely grateful for your support as well. Again, this accomplishment is in part due to your support for research in cancer and other areas at Indiana University. It's particularly fitting that the announcement of the designation of the Simon Cancer Center as Indiana's only comprehensive cancer center comes just as Indiana University is beginning a year-long celebration of its bicentennial. In fact, this is the first speech that I'm giving in the bicentennial year, the first of about 170 or 80 that I expect to be giving over the bicentennial year. So this is a great way to start, I have to say. Indiana University was founded on January 20, 1820, and among the university's most noteworthy accomplishments over 200 years is its outstanding history of advancing healthcare for the people of the state of Indiana and for people around the world. IU's 8 clinical schools, the schools of medicine, nursing, dentistry, optometry, social work, the 2 schools of public health and human sciences, educate the overwhelming share of health sciences professionals in Indiana. Research conducted in all of these schools helps to inform public policy and to establish new protocols for the prevention, treatment, control, and cure of disease, pain, and suffering. And in our optometry and dental clinics, and in collaboration with our essential partner, IU Health, patients across the state receive world-class clinical care. The IU School of Medicine has been dedicated to the public good in this way for well over a century. And for more than 25 years, the outstanding cancer specialists affiliated with IU's Melvin and Bren Simon Cancer Center have helped to revolutionize cancer research and treatment. It was here that a young Lawrence Einhorn developed a revolutionary approach to treating testicular cancer, a treatment that transformed the diagnosis from nearly 100% fatal to nearly 100% curable. The therapy developed by Dr. Einhorn, who is now an IU Distinguished Professor, marked the first ever cure for a solid tumor, and it has saved the lives of hundreds of thousands of men. IU's Hal Broxmeyer, who I'm delighted is with us today, also the distinguished professor, pioneered the use of umbilical cord blood to treat cancer and immune diseases. Cord blood transplants have since been performed tens of thousands of times throughout the world. And today, IU is tackling some of the most pressing problems facing humanity, problems that can only be solved by teams of dedicated researchers working across disciplines by investing in IU's Grand Challenges program. Through the Precision Health Initiative, headed by Dr. Anantha Shekhar, who is here as well today, the first initiative funded under our Grand Challenges program, IU's Simon Cancer Centre researchers are making enormous progress in developing curative therapies for multiple myeloma, pediatric sarcoma, and triple-negative breast cancer. In many ways, the IU Simon Cancer represents the very best of Indiana University. It exemplifies the vitally important ways a great public research university like IU serves the people of the state and the nation. And while its affiliated researchers are primarily faculty of the IU School of Medicine, the centre also brings together accomplished researchers and experts from the IU School of Nursing, IU's Fairbanks School of Public Health, and a number of other IU schools. Through the centre, IU also collaborates with partners at other leading universities here in Indiana, throughout the whole of the Big Ten, and around the country. And the centre brings to life the discoveries made by IU faculty members, shepherding them from the laboratory to patients' bedsides and into practice, all for the benefit of patients and their families. These patients and families are often our own loved ones. As Dean has noted, all of us have been touched in one way or the other by cancer. My wife Laurie and I both lost our first spouses to cancer. This prestigious designation by the National Cancer Institute demonstrates that IU remains at the forefront of innovation in cancer care. And so, as we celebrate Indiana University's bicentennial and look to the future, we reaffirm our commitment to bringing the most innovative and promising therapies to Indiana and to eliminating the suffering caused by cancer. The IU Simon Cancer Centre, our newly designated comprehensive cancer centre, is central to fulfilling that promise, and it is vital to the health and vitality of our great state. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of IU Health, Dennis Murphy. Dennis became the CEO of IU Health in 2016 after serving as its Chief Operating Officer. IU Health, of course, is widely acknowledged around the state for offering outstanding care and is a great and essential partner in supporting IU's mission of educational and research excellence. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dennis Murphy.
Good morning. As I was preparing for this event, it was hard to figure out the right words to describe how special this is. And I reflected on an experience I had 3 months ago where a patient of the Simon Cancer Center was on an interview panel in front of a series of executives explaining why you choose a doctor when you have cancer. This patient's name is Teresa, and she so eloquently described why you go to the Simon Cancer Center. She said, first, you need to go to a place where physicians specialize in the type of cancer they're treating. You want world's experts when you're sick, and you want only the best. She also said you want to go to a place that teaches, because those who teach have to be at the top of their game each and every day. Students are a wonderful resource to challenge ideas, to push fields forward, and to make sure that every professional extends that profession into the future. She also said you need to go to a facility that has support services, because patients are more than just their disease. They are people, and they need supportive structures to acknowledge who they are as a person. And finally, she said, go to a place where each and every person who's part of your care team is compassionate and connects with patients. There was nothing that made me prouder in my role to hear a patient talk about their experience here at IU Health and the Simon Cancer Center so articulately, but also got to the core of why cancer centers are special. About 2 years ago, IU Health and the IU School of Medicine adopted an ambitious vision for our collective enterprise. That was simply to make Indiana one of the healthiest states in the nation, and to do that through clinical excellence, innovation, and the education of future healthcare leaders. The designation today of the Simon Cancer Center as the first comprehensive cancer center in the state of Indiana is an external acknowledgement that we are on the right pathway to achieve this goal by providing cutting-edge care to patients across our state and beyond. This designation by the National Cancer Institute is a well-earned recognition of the work of the members of the Cancer Center and all of the care team who work daily to deliver the absolute best patient care designed with specific patients' needs in mind. I would personally like to thank Dr. Lair for leading this effort and for all of the Cancer Center members who never wavered from this vision of offering Hoosiers cancer care that is preeminent in this country. The Cancer Center team has accomplished this by assembling an outstanding group of researchers, clinicians, epidemiologists, and educators who work together to advance the basic knowledge around cancer. They leverage those learnings to develop new therapies, educating the public about the best ways to reduce their cancer risks. And finally, they provided the best care designed for each patient we treat, resulting not just in incredible clinical outcomes, but also patient satisfaction scores that are amongst the highest throughout all of IU Health. We are proud of the accomplishments of the Simon Cancer Center, but we know that there is still much work to do. This Cancer Center team is advancing the treatment of cancer, as well as the development and testing of new and novel cancer therapies that offer great hope for the future. As challenging as it is to care for cancer patients with such serious diseases, it is also rewarding to know that we are on the cutting edge here, and that we offer real hope to our patients now and in the future. One example is Brenda Ravner, who is a 62-year-old grandmother with a recurrence of breast cancer who underwent 12 cycles of chemotherapy, major surgery to remove 34 lymph nodes, and 28 radiation therapy treatments, only to find her cancer was still there. Then she had her genome tested and her tumor's genome tested and sequenced at our Precision Genomics Clinic, and I am happy to say that Ms. Ravner was put on an oral agent, and at least for now, her PET scans are cleaned. That is the type of innovation that only a comprehensive cancer center can bring to our patients. So to close, it is an honor to be designated a comprehensive cancer center. It both offers well-earned recognition of the talent and hard work that all of this remarkable team accomplishes every day, but this new status is also a renewed commitment to earn this status each and every day by pursuing new knowledge, novel therapies, and innovative ways to reduce the cancer burden here in Indiana. We look forward to working collectively to further strengthen the Simon Cancer Center, what we all know is one of the greatest centers and now is formally recognized as such, and to continue our pursuit of research, education, and excellent clinical care. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the Director of the Simon Cancer Center, Dr. Patrick Lair.
It is such a kick to see how filled this place is and the balcony up there. Hi, guys. It's really a thrill. The mission of this IU Simon Cancer Center is to decrease the burden of cancer for patients in Indiana and beyond. Quite simply, we're here for the patients. If you bear with me for a few minutes, I would like to show a brief video highlighting one of those patients to emphasize this story.
First time I was diagnosed with breast cancer, my oldest daughter was getting ready to start her freshman year of high school. She was just entering these years where you're supposed to forget about your parents. So aside from just being so sick in that important year of her life, the very real possibility that I wasn't going to survive it just made everything more scary. In 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had surgery, then went through 6 months of chemotherapy, and then a full course of radiation. I rang the bell that spring, and a year later, I was diagnosed with a recurrence. The cancer this time was a much more aggressive form. It came back as inflammatory breast cancer that was triple negative. I just finished chemotherapy in February of this year, just a few months ago. I have triple negative breast cancer. There's no targeted therapy to keep that away. So we fully expect for cancer to return somewhere in my body within the next year and a half. Research that's focused on triple negative breast cancer is my ticket to a future with my kids. No relationship exists like the one between a mom and her daughters. And the thought of my kids growing up without that kind of support, that type of advocate, that person that's fiercely on their side is heartbreaking. Knowing that the National Cancer Institute has designated the IU Simon Cancer Center here in Indiana as comprehensive, giving it this incredible honor and seal of approval, gives me so much comfort that I'm in the right place. Right now, I don't have evidence of disease. I feel really good. I'm working. I'm participating with my kids, registering for their new school year, but I don't know how long that will remain to be the case. And if and when my cancer returns, I know that I am in the best hands possible. That if I'm going to survive this disease, that my care team here in Indiana will be the ones to make it happen.
I asked her not to make me cry. You blew it. It is, I see patients many days a week, and I can't tell you how it is to see such courage. It's easy when you have cancer just to kind of lock up at home and keep it quiet, but to be able to talk about it publicly, it's special. Jenny is joined here today with her parents and her husband, Danny. and flanked by her care physicians, her surgical and radiation oncologist, Carla Fisher and Rich Zellers. Back in clinic is Kathy Miller, who's seen more patients. I'd like to have Jenny, Carla, Rich, I'd like to have you come up here to the stage. First, I'd like to thank Rich and Carla for representing the physicians, the scientists, the nurses, the staff who give extraordinary care each and every day and who are fighting to try to make a difference in this disease. Second, Jenny, I want you to know this. I want you to believe this. There is no more important person on this stage than you. Is President McRobbie looking at me? I'm sorry. But I really mean that. Your courage, what you have given, for example, it really means so much, and it's what you're about that is what drives us to move forward. Thank you for this. Please give us another round of it.
And you're right.
Four decades ago, when I came down here for a fourth-year elective in medical school, I witnessed a miracle of medical science. A then young Larry Einhorn, who was an assistant professor, had just recently put together a regimen, a cocktail of drugs, that would transform the most lethal cause of cancer in young men to the most curable. He worked together with Dr. John Donahue, who unfortunately passed away, head of urology, and Ken Kessler, to change the paradigm of how we look at solid tumors in oncology. He made a difference. And he made a difference for me, personally and professionally. Steve Williams was a fellow at the time. He'd later do the same thing for ovarian germ cell tumors, and then he would become the founding director of the IU Simon Cancer Center. Indiana University became the home of Hal Broxmeyer and Larry Einhorn. You've heard about them already, but there's also a number of other remarkable people. There's Vicki Champion, who's Distinguished Professor of Nursing and a pioneer in behavioral oncology. There's Dr. Anna Maria Storniolo, who put together the first normal breast tissue bank in the world. There's Kathy Miller, Sunil Badve, George Sledge, who led national trials that changed the paradigms of how we treat adjuvant therapy in metastatic disease. There's a late Dave Flockhart and his colleagues, Jamie Renbarger, Brian Schneider, Todd Skor, who spearheaded precision medicine and the importance of understanding how some drugs in some patients respond completely different with toxicities in others, and how these interactions actually may impact how we treat patients. Dr. Wade Clapp, who led the first research spore in pediatric cancer in the country. And Doctors Teresa Guise, Linda Bonewald, and David Rudman, who are the world's experts on bone microenvironment and cancer, including multiple myeloma. In the end, you see, the IU Simon Cancer Center is not a hospital. It's not a bunch of laboratories. It's not a repository for grants. It's rather, the IU Simon Cancer is people. These are very, very smart people and very, very nice people, each of whom who are totally dedicated to help with research, education, and clinical care. Cancer doesn't discriminate. The roads of this world and the next are lined with souls that have been touched by people with cancer. 10 years ago, 3 men with a vision for this cancer center died from cancer themselves. These included the former IU president, Miles Brand, and the namesake and the donor for this institution, Mel Simon. Both died parenthetically on the same day of the same disease, pancreatic cancer. My good friend Steve Williams, who was the founding director, also died that same year from metastatic melanoma. Each of them would be smiling broadly this morning, for they know that this world in which cancer is an uninvited guest is a better place because of the men and the women of the Indiana University Melvin and Bren Comprehensive Cancer Center. I want to thank our center's leadership, the membership, our physicians and nurses. Some of them are watching over at the Cancer Pavilion through livecast. The staff for making such a difference. I also want to have a special thanks to Michael Shug and Karen Spataro, wherever you are, that have microphones on, for putting together this event on such short notice. It's an elegant event. I have my profound gratitude to Doug Lowy, to President McRobbie, to Jay, to Dennis for coming here, carving out time, and all of you for coming here and carving out time for us. But most of all, I want to thank the patients of our state for their courage and inspiration. This is truly a special day for Indiana. Thank you very much. All right, there's one more thing. Please sit down. Many of you I've known for, 15 minutes or so, but few of you have ever asked for a favor. So this is a favor, okay? This will be the last favor that I'll ask most of you ever to do. So all of you were handed these little red things here. If you could undo these, untie the ribbon there, okay? And what you will see, well, it's a T-shirt. I guess some of you guys figured this out. But what we see here is this word comprehensive. Now, I'm asking all of you, please, I'm pleading with all of you, we're trying to get into the Guinness of Records for the largest number of people with the crimson and tide, I'm sorry, I blew that one. There it goes, yeah. The cream and crimson, it's hard to do this, the cream and crimson comprehensive T-shirt. So if you could put these on, and we're going to have a photo op with all of this that we can share with other people. So I'll ask you to put it on. The people stand up. We'll have you kind of come in here. People on the top. I love you guys. And then we'll have you guys roll down there, huh? T-shirt kit. Yeah. We thought about that. We figured it would be better. Let's see how it goes. All right, you guys are down. We're going to be in the middle here. Are you feel bad about putting your shirt on? I'm not a t-shirt. You can't do it. Okay, is everybody dressed?
In the middle?
I'll let you tell them.
Yeah, this will be on middle. There we go. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. 3. Wow, it's so big. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much.
So everybody. So, hey, hello guys. So one thing I just want to let you know, the main reason you guys came here is because of food. There is a reception back there, so if you want to work to the tail end of that, you can get some food. Thanks.